It was the tale of two halves today as the Redskins came back from a 24-7 halftime deficit to launch the biggest comeback in Redskins history, winning 31-30 at home. There's no two ways about it, the B&G stepped up today, but the Bucs also stepped down and we've got to talk about it. Should Redskins fans have hope, or was this just an aberration courtesy of the rarely seen good Kirk? Stay tuned for our take right here on the Hogsty.
It's the Hogsty.
Yay!
Woot, I say. Woot.
Woot is exactly what I would say as well. Huzzah works too. Welcome to the Hogsty, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. We've got a great win to talk about today. I know we're all excited about it. My name's Sean. The intrepid crew is holding it down today with Robbie Duncan.
What's up, guys?
Alex Zeese. Ooh, I love it. And Steve Thomas, the man.
Hello, everyone. How are you today on a fine victory Sunday?
Where's
Everybody
the hype,
should
Steve?
be doing
Come
good.
on, man.
Yeah, you're too
Do
low
I ever
energy,
get
man.
Hyped? Do I?
You
get
gotta
hyped
do it! Just do it!
His cocaine guy went dry. That's what happened.
Steve, you gotta light a couch on fire or something, man. Come on.
Yeah, usually it's a dumpster on fire. We got to light the couch today.
Hey, it was a good day,
Let's talk about. Yeah, let's talk about what a good day it was, and we should probably be reasonable here and talk first half then second half because it was a totally night and day situation.
Yeah.
Not a good look in that first half. So let's start there. Offensively, damn. Damn, we couldn't get much going in that first half. Obviously, again, the score was 24-7 at the halftime. So what happened in that first half?
I have a couple notes I wrote down, and they are: we should fire Kirk Cousins, we should fire Jay Gruden, we should fire the offensive coordinator, Sean McVay, we should fire Dan Snyder, we should fire the guy who does the strength and conditioning, we should fire the entire offensive line.
What?
Yeah.
Larry Michael's
a fair
fine.
reaction in some ways.
I don't know why you guys hate Larry Michael. I have something more substantive.
It's a touchdown, Redskins!
That's what he
I like
no,
Larry
seriously,
Mike.
That's
Maybe
what
I'm
he
the
always
only
sounds
one.
like. That's what he always
Maybe I'm
sounds
the
like.
You're the
one
only
that
one
listens.
on the planet,
He's
Steve.
fine.
RG3, all the way into the end zone!
Sorry,
God,
I'm a
Larry,
little-
cool
I'm a little
it.
fired up here today. I'm ready to go.
I think that the coaching staff made an outstanding adjustment about, toward the very end of the first half. And we went from the normal, Kirk Cousins dump off, offensive line wasn't executing, no run game. And all of a sudden, on that one drive where he scored a touchdown, they ran a read option. They started going downfield,
It's
one or
back.
two shots. Cousins,
Fancy
they
that.
had Cousins roll out. We had a quarterback who was great at that kind of offense once, just incidentally. But leave that alone for today. And that caught the Bucs off balance because we have not done that kind of thing all year. And I think the Bucs really just weren't ready for it. And by the time they did get, they adjusted to it, we had already come back. I think from a play on the field standpoint, I think that's what happened. And then the team just caught the momentum wave and rode it all the way to the end of the game. Good.
Sure.
To the credit of, it's not often we can credit the coaching staff, but I think the coaching staff did a great job adjusting today.
Yeah, and I mean, they had to. This was the code read everything we talked about, obviously, but they had to do something to make adjustments in this game. Robbie, I was going to ask you, is it the same thing? I mean, I noticed the same thing in terms of we ran a couple read option plays, and then obviously Kirk scrambled for that touchdown too.
Yeah.
Was it just a matter of what we had wasn't working, and we had to regress a little bit back to that read option offense?
I don't think it's regressing. I think it was just adding a wrinkle. I was saying we needed to do that earlier because we kept running the same style of plays and people were catching on to it. Just run the read option and kind of catch them off guard, and it worked perfectly. I was glad
We got
to see
away
it, to be
from
honest.
West Coast. We got away from West Coast principles and towards a little bit of kind of more traditional offense, and it started working again because A, the Bucs aren't very good, and B, they weren't ready for it. I don't know if we can keep doing this for future games because teams may be ready for it, but for here and now today, it worked to perfection.
What I want to know is who was actually calling the plays that series, because Bullock was kind of tweeting out during the game that he wasn't so sure
It
that
was McVay.
Gruden, it was McVay calling the shots. And
Interesting.
I like that.
I don't
much
think
better
we're ever
than
gonna know.
what Gruden was calling.
Yeah, anything but Gruden's offense. I mean, the farther we get from Gruden's offense, the better. But I don't think we're ever going to know what the answer was. But I think you properly give the head coach credit for it. We criticize him endlessly when things go wrong, and he does deserve credit when we have a game like today. I mean, because this was the biggest comeback ever, right? For a Redskins game, is that what they said on the broadcast?
Yeah. It's the biggest comeback in Redskins history.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that?
How long have we been around now? 87 years? We haven't come back from 24 points? That's impressive.
That surprises me a lot.
Well, we've had, as good as the Redskins' history looks, when you look at, the number of championships and stuff like that, they're pretty good. But they had a lot of, decades-long struggles thanks to George Marshall's weird racism against having black players than everyone else did and things like that. So you have to take that into account, that we had 15 years of 3-4 win seasons of him. So,
well, no one's forgetting that.
Kind of stuff.
I was going to say, look, there's not much to say necessarily on offense first half. We can talk about it a little bit more, but I mean, it seemed to me the tale of the first half was defensive failures. We didn't stop the Bucs from scoring on a single drive until there were 2 minutes left in the half.
And it was point of attack. It was our offensive line and defensive line both were just getting absolutely beaten at every turn in that first half. And I guess, Robbie, you can tell us say better than anybody else what happened. Did they just start winning their individual battles? Did they make adjustments, or what happened?
It looks like they made adjustments. I don't know, though. I can't really speak with what happened in the locker room. It seemed like it was something better. It was something better than what we've been doing, but it was playing out exactly like I thought it would at the beginning. I was like, well, yep, Mike Evans, there we go, 24 points, just like I said. But then we came back, and I don't know. I think everybody just kind of decided to say, you know what, screw this. We're better than what we're playing right now, and they kind of played with a sense of urgency for once, and it was good to see.
Yeah. Well, that and the Bucs really did, shoot themselves in the foot. They had 15, 16 penalties and everything else. I mean, we were lucky. The Bucs helped us along the momentum wave.
Well, we shot ourselves in the foot just as much with that fumble for a touchdown that Kirk had in the first
I was going to ask about that. It's a great thing to call out. It was sad to see Scherf running in vain behind that guy trying to chase him down for the touchdown.
You can't blame him for not catching the guy, but
of course not.
That was a combination of things,
too
though.
much.
That was a combination of things. That was Morgan Moses getting beat. He didn't, push his guy hard enough. He kind of just let him go around the corner. Plus, Brandon Sheriff gave up pressure upside, right in front of Kirk too. So it wasn't like Kirk really had a spot to step up into. And then, both of those combined kind of just led to it happening. It was just, I think, probably the worst play of the offensive line had the whole game. Other than that,
and Kirk pulled the ball down at one point, didn't he? Or no? Am I wrong? Something like that. It looked like he was just holding on to the ball for a while.
You know what?
I think he tried to pump it or something, and then it got smacked out of his hand.
I can't blame him too much for the fumble. I mean, it happens sometimes. I mean, it was bad, but move on from that. I can't get too upset over one play like that.
Sure.
Really? Because we tend to make a living out of getting upset about one or two plays like that every game.
Yeah, but it wasn't like there was some huge.
Are you making a living off of this?
I mean, I think you blame Moses and
Sheriff
more than, particularly Moses, on that play more than anything. I mean, the quarterback's going to get hit like that. He's going to fumble sometimes. I can't get. Wish it hadn't happened, but I can't get too upset about it.
Well,
it's not
Steve,
Cousins has a pattern.
Sure.
Right.
Go ahead.
Do you by any chance have the pass to run differential stats for the first half?
Yeah, that I for the benefit of the people out there, unfortunately do not have a ton of notes today. But the run pass differential in the first quarter, it was 6 passes, 4 runs. In the second, at the end of the second quarter, it was 15 passes, 11 runs. What can you say? I mean, the run game wasn't working. We didn't stick with it, of course. We never do. And I still maintain you need to keep plugging at the run. I realized we were down, a lot to a little, but I think you got to stick with the run. But regardless, that was what it was. It was 6-4, and then 11-15 by the end of the second quarter.
And I don't know if you have this, but it seemed to me like Alfred Morris made rare appearances in this game. I mean, it seemed like he barely got the ball.
Yeah, he barely got the ball. I do have that. Let's just do some stats real fast. Run over it. Kirk Cousins was 33 of 40 for 317 yards, 3 touchdowns. His quarterback rating was 124.7, which I assume was probably the best of his career for one game. In the rushing,
right.
Yeah, if there might have been that one, what was it, the Giants game where he threw for 400 yards? That was couple years ago. Anyway, Matt Jones with 9 carries, 29 yards, 3.2 yard average. Alfred Morris 6 carries, 5 yards, and then Darrell Young had the 1 first down run, and Cousins had his 3 scrambles.
Yeah, nice to see a Darrell Young sighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank God.
Now, let me, since we brought up the running backs a little bit there, do you think the running struggles really are the line, or is it starting to look like it's more Morris himself?
It's the line. I think it's the line more than anything. It's not like he's missing. Today, I don't think he missed holes. It just wasn't there for him.
Yeah, and Robbie can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it seems to me like it's not necessarily designed to create that many holes. It's like designed to get 1 or 2 yards. It's not that zone blocking scheme that he excels in, where he can zip around dudes. It seems like it's just that power.
But power runs can open holes and get you to the second level.
Sure,
just like a zone scheme does. The zone scheme is designed to cut back.
I feel like the power runs were opening holes for Matt, not Alf.
Well, not really.
Maybe Matt sees
I don't know. Yeah, that's
maybe
true
so.
too.
I mean, but Matt was getting stuff there too for a while. It was when things kind of got rolling, it opened up a little bit. I mean, neither one of them did anything, really in the first half.
Right.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's a good seg to talk about the second half, because that's really the meat and potatoes of this game. Because good Lord, it was a beautiful sight. So let's just go through it.
So this was me after the first half. At first, just when I thought you couldn't do anything more dumber, you go and pull something like this. Second half done, and totally redeem yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean,
little Dumb and Dumber action. I got you.
Yeah, I mean, it was a miraculous sight starting from the second they got off they came off the line in that second half. I mean, they started hot. Let's just talk third quarter, because we were 3 points through the whole third quarter for the whole season. Today we scored 2 touchdowns, right, in the third quarter?
14-0 in the third quarter, baby. That's what we want to see.
I mean, that's a huge turnaround.
They kind of got a monkey off their back, at least for this week, about the third quarter. I don't know if it's some magical, mentally they were just tougher, or they just executed better. And again, I think we just had the Bucs off balance because we changed the play, the play calling around a little bit, and that kind of continued. I just don't think they're ready.
Let's be honest. A lot of it stems from the fact that special teams said, "Let's throw balls to the walls and do a onside kick."
That was nice.
That really turned around in the third quarter for being what would have been already a good third quarter. If we had gone up 7 points in the third quarter, great. But doing that onside kick and getting the ball back and going 14-0, that was huge for us.
It really was.
Yep.
Huge for us.
It's going to be huge.
It's going to be huge.
All right, well, I have a good quote here from Perry Riley. He was asked after the game about that onside kick, and he said, "We saw during film study this week that Bucs special teams lined up 15 yards deep on kickoffs. They knew the onside kick would work." And sure enough, Dustin Hopkins, did his magic onside kick like Gruden says, and we got it. It was nice.
Yeah.
Little tip for you kids: do your homework, and you might come out with a little A+ instead of a B-.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that onside kick just looked like it was perfectly executed. I mean, it
was.
Redskin touched the ball first, then it kind of bounced around. Redskins came up with it anyway. I did not expect that to look as good as it did, especially from this special teams unit.
You got to do those onside kicks every once in a while in off times just to keep teams off balance.
Sure.
And if they saw, that there was the 15-yard deep thing, I think it's a good call.
But that's when you do the onside kick. It's not in the final minutes
when they're expecting it.
Moment.
What's there too, because you have to. But
right.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, you do it at some strange time, and it keeps teams off balance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, another just pointing to good coaching decisions that continued throughout the day today.
Yep.
So offense standouts for this game, particularly obviously in that second half. I mean, got to talk Jordan Reed.
Sure.
Good Lord, great game, 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
Ryan Grant, another touchdown himself, and a couple of key critical catches.
Was that his first
Grant,
TD of the season?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
I made the funny tweet earlier during the game after he got the touchdown. He had that big gain on the next series when he came out.
Right.
I said, Ryan Grant comes alive.
Yeah.
We had an Andre Roberts side as well.
He's doing the Thriller dance. That's what he's doing, baby.
And Steve, that's another good call out too. Andre Roberts for sure. I mean, he had some drop passes obviously in this game, but he at least came up with a couple good ones, 1 or 2 good ones.
Stats-wise, Jordan Reed, 11 receptions, 72 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6.5 yard average. Pierre Garçon had a fairly decent game. He made some important plays there. Statistically, wasn't anything to write home about, though. 5 receptions, 55 yards. Ryan Grant, we talked about, 3 receptions, 54 yards. Andre Roberts, we talked about. Jamison Crowder, 5 catches, 48 yards. The ball got spread around to a lot of players pretty well today. Mm-hmm. And I think we saw what a huge difference Jordan Reed makes to this team when he's in there.
A minor thing that I've mentioned on various blogs, and you know who I mean, I really said that I thought that having Reed out would help Kirk Cousins more because he would learn to spread the ball out more. And it really looked like that was the case today.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, it seems like Pierre Garçon was a forgotten man, and he's coming alive a little bit again this season because he's getting the ball. He's getting throws. Griffin, for whatever reason.
When it needs to go to him. That's the key.
Well, going into this game, he was our leading receiver, but Pierre's problem is that his yards per catch was abysmal. Still is abysmal.
Yeah.
That's the problem with Pierre this season.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, to clarify, I wasn't even saying that. I mean, I think this whole season's been great for him. I love to see that Cousins is actually getting him the ball because for whatever reason, it seems like Griffin. Yeah, I mean, he did today, but he's done throughout the season too. I mean, if you compare it to last season, I feel like Garçon was kind of the invisible dude, you know. But
I'm assuming I haven't run the stats yet. I'm assuming Reed's back to being our leading catcher. I would assume after today. I haven't looked into it yet, though.
Yeah, and it really needs to be said how much Jordan Reed means to this offense. It's not like anything special or spectacular. Yeah, he caught those 2 touchdowns, but he opens up the offense for us a whole lot more, and that's what we really needed. Is because without him, who's going to beat the defense? Garçon, right? He was the best guy, and he's not really one that gets separation. He just runs the quick routes, and that's it.
You know what?
Yeah.
Pierre's
he breaks tackles. Is that what? That's
Pierre's a solid pro. He doesn't scare anybody.
No.
He really doesn't. That one year he led the NFL in receptions and still didn't get in the Pro Bowl, and we were all upset about it. Honestly, the real reason is he doesn't scare anybody. Nobody's game planning for Pierre Garçon.
Yeah. And besides Deshaun, Jordan Reed really is our only guy that we had that can create mismatches.
He's a playmaker. Yeah. He's a mismatch against linebackers. He's a mismatch against corners. Because of his combination of size, speed, and route running. It's just with him, it's just a matter of staying on the field. If he could stay on the field, the guy's going to be an all-pro someday, I think. Mm-hmm. I think he's our biggest mismatch, more than anybody else we have on the team, at least on the offense. Yeah. I think he's our single biggest mismatch, including Deshaun Jackson, because Deshaun, as good as he is, Deshaun Jackson's kind of a one-trick pony. Jordan Reed can kind of do it all, honestly, I think.
Well, no, I don't agree with that. Jordan Reed can't run a fly route like Deshaun
Okay,
Jackson.
well,
of course
I mean, he could. Depends on what coverage there is. I could see Jordan Reed down the field, depending on what kind of coverage there is. He's not going to do it one-on-one against a corner,
if they don't cover him, sure, but
no. I mean,
he's not getting a 40-yard pass going for 80.
I don't know.
Right.
You send him on a seam route against like a cover 2 and have him, out there in the safety
Has he
quadrant.
done it yet? That's my point.
Well, we haven't had a quarterback that could do it yet, and Cousins and Reed hadn't been on the field.
Fair enough.
We haven't had the opportunity to see that yet. Really, I think Reed will only get better if he stays on the field and start to do stuff like that.
Down to the minutia of who's a bigger mismatch in certain situations, and that's silly. But
yeah, I just mean
Yeah.
You can disagree with me. It's fine. I think he's the biggest mismatch we have.
I agree with Steve on this one.
Okay.
Hey, somebody does. There's one.
Yeah, just also to the point of spreading the ball around, I wanted to say, too, I feel like having some injuries today actually helped Gruden spread the ball around a little bit, too, because we didn't see nearly as, you didn't see any screens to frickin' Thompson, which you see 77 times a game usually. I loved not seeing so many damn screens this game.
Can I bring up a kind of a bad point about the injuries?
Go for it.
Yes. Of course.
Am I wrong, or did the run defense get better when Ryan Kerrigan was not on the field?
That's a great comment.
It did.
Maybe.
What I
Plus
told
Will Thompson
I
got in there too.
Yeah, he did. They were running right
Didn't they
at
go to
Kerrigan.
the backup running back more and more in the late?
Well, I'm going to give you that in just a second. But they were running Doug Martin right at Ryan Kerrigan in the first half, and he was gashing him over and over and over again. I don't know what's going on with Ryan Kerrigan. I know he's got a broken hand. Cooley said his hand is definitely broken. I don't know if we know for sure yet. Does anybody know? Robbie, did you catch the post-game presser about it?
All I heard was
he was texting his teammates that it was broken, and Rick Snyder made a tweet that was pretty good, which was he could play through it, but he won't be good. Because I heard
Cooley said in the third quarter it was definitely broken for whatever that's worth.
Yeah.
But point is, Ryan just wasn't getting it done in the run game, and when he came off the field,
Jackson Jeffcoat came in, made a play.
Sure did.
He knocked that ball out of Winston's hands. It was nice.
He did.
Man,
okay.
Jeffcoat was my boy through the preseason, by the way.
He just continues to make plays when you give him a chance.
He does.
And he's been cut by the team 5 times this year or something like that.
That's Frank
No,
Kurse.
that's Kerr. That's Kurse.
Oh, that's Frank Kerr. Sorry.
Kurse was
Jeffcoat should
on
be
the team this week.
Jeffcoat should be in that commercial for the Verizon backup generators. Get McCown out of that commercial. Put Jeffcoat in there, dude. For real.
Nice.
Doug Martin did gash us overall. 19 carries, 136 yards, 7.2 yard average.
Yeah.
Mike Evans gashed us again, 8 receptions, 164 yards, 20.5 yard average for a touchdown. And Martin also had 3 receptions for 35 yards. So the defense had its problems. A whole lot of that came in the first half.
Now, was Jackson injured part of the game, or am I? He was
Vincent?
pretty quiet.
I don't know. I think we were just doing a good job of taking him away.
Okay.
He had that
Vincent
one
Jackson
play where he almost caught it, but
yeah,
I don't know.
He had only one catch for 13 yards. And the backup running back you were talking about, was it Sean? Charles Sims, 10 carries, 49 yards.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, he had a
bashed.
good game too, and especially on that last drive that they were going. God, I thought they were going to come away. They seemed to be marching right down to field goal territory. I really thought we were going to lose that game.
This was a lightweight punch out, is what it was. It was
yeah.
2 teams that are desperate, taking heavy makers back and forth, and we just came away with the win. That's what happened.
Lovie Smith made the dumbest play call in football history, I think. With 3rd and maybe a half a yard, he does that kind of weird misdirection thing, running play. Have Jameis Winston just sneak it. All he had to do was take a step forward, and it would have been a touchdown. I would have been really upset if I was a Bucs fan, because I looked at that play call where the running back got the ball kind of deep, and it was this misdirection thing, because one guy went one way and the other way. It just didn't work. All they had to do was give Winston the ball, have him take one step forward, and he would have been a better chance for him. I think that was a dumb play call. We got a lucky play call for the Redskins, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of luck going on for the Redskins in the second half. Steve, do you by any chance have penalty numbers? Because it was a penalty frenzy.
I don't have the penalties. Again, that was where I kind of had to. I was not able to keep a bunch of stats, but I think the Bucs had
it was a lot.
I think the Bucs had 16. I think, and we had
Yeah,
only a handful.
they had a lot of penalties.
It was actually apparently it was a record in one half for penalties
our
for the
Dolphins
Bucs.
game.
Yeah.
It was worse than that. I mean, they had 16.
Oh, yeah,
I think,
definitely.
in the game. Yeah. We did fairly well. We only had a couple penalties all day. A handful.
Usually that was Jeff Triplett as the head ref. We usually get screwed by him too.
Yeah.
We were getting calls like we were the Patriots. Here's a call for you guys. You guys get a good call. It was nice.
Well, let me give you a little something a pet peeve of mine with Jeff Triplett. There's that moment where Jameson Winston had a moment where he basically threw a ball that should have been grounding, and Triplett went up to him after, and he was like holding him on the ass, and he was like, "Yeah, it's okay. He was like really just like putting his hand right on Winston's ass for about good 10, 15 seconds.
He was just copping a feel.
Yeah.
Ass touching has a 5-second rule, and if it gets to 15, you've got serious issues. That's what I always say.
I sometimes wonder about like a ref like getting too buddy with the other team.
Well,
or
I can tell you
this
this
in general.
Who's the guy with the big guns? The ref.
That's
Hockley.
Yeah, I saw
us over too.
Well, I saw Ed Hockley speak at a convention several years ago, and he went on and on and on and on and on about I was standing with Elway and talking about this and that. It was one let's make myself look good story after another, and he really implied that he was buddy with all these high profile famous players.
Yeah,
it was a big toot my own horn thing.
Today.
Yeah, so I think
right.
If Ed Hockley is to be any guide, I think the refs are influenced by some of the star
Big
players.
names.
Yeah, big names.
Right. Yeah.
Well, hey,
I got that vibe today with Triplett and Winston, and then he didn't. Remember, there was that moment where Tampa clearly didn't call timeout until well after the clock ran out.
Great point. That was a full 2 seconds.
Actually, that was not the case.
And then all of a sudden, no, they called the timeout.
They did
it's
call
cool.
No. They did call the timeout. The right tackle stood up.
Who?
You know, and
Who called?
the right. I don't know who called it, but the right tackle clearly heard it because he stood up. And
that
then
was
the
the
trainers
second
ran
one.
on the field.
I'm talking about the first one.
Oh,
they had
okay.
it happen twice, Steve. They hadn't happened twice where there was one where Winston was the only one to stand up and call a timeout, and it was the clock at 2 seconds ago.
Yeah. I agree. I noticed the same thing. A lot of the announcers made comments about that, too.
I just
played
can't
it in
believe
slow
you guys
motion.
are implying that the refs were trying to help Tampa out when they called like 16, 17 penalties against them, though. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
they're trying to even things out is all I'm saying.
By the way, Winston was
Not
21 of
necessarily help
29.
them, but make it an even game.
Winston had a good game. He was 21 of 29 for 297, 10.2 yards per catch.
If you can find me a picture of Jeff Triplett getting to second base or third base with Kirk Cousins, like he did with James
Can we
Winston,
please move off the ref thing? We've talked entirely too long about referees today. It is a victory Sunday, people.
Yeah, a lot of
just saying the refs love to grab Jameis Winston's ass.
Jameis.
Whatever his name is.
But I mean,
get a normal name, douche.
Yeah, Jameis Winston. You got 2 last names, dude. Get a grip, man.
Well, the reason why he was really torching us though was because of the running game. All of his big passing yards were pretty much on play action plays, and they were just torching us with that.
They were.
Well, and he made some good plays, in the first half. It was he did some 7-step drops, fire downfield. He looked like an all-pro there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. For the first overall pick, that's the kind of thing you want to see. Now, I don't think he's had a great season up till this point, but again, we have a habit of making these guys look a lot better than they are. We saw it with Fitzpatrick, and we're seeing it with Winston, too.
Yeah, I think that people are getting, to have unreasonable expectations about these high drafted rookies. Robert Griffin in his rookie year is the exception. Jameis Winston is more like, the prototype,
the normal
rookie. Yeah, the norm.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be too upset if I was Tampa. I think you've seen. Yeah, I mean Winston, his completion percentage has been this year, but he's made some good things. He's shown some promise. I wouldn't be too upset if I was Tampa.
No.
They have a good young core of people.
Compare Jameis's stats to what were Kirk's final game stats? How did he end up?
For this today? Okay.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston, like I said, was 21 of 29 for 297, 2 touchdowns, quarterback rating of 128.1. Kirk was 33 of 40, 317 yards, 7.9 yards per catch or per attempt, 3 touchdowns, 124.7. Let's see. So Jameis had a little bit higher completion percentage. Kirk had more attempts, and the one more touchdown. Jameis had a higher quarterback rating, I would assume, because he had such a higher completion percentage.
Right.
Yeah.
Kirk.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Kirk obviously had some really on-the-money plays today.
He did.
I mean, he had great moments where he really fit the ball into tight spots. You don't normally Aaron Rodgers can do that. Guys like Kirk Cousins typically can't do that. So he had a really good game. He also had some really bad plays, and I'm particularly thinking about that near interception to Chris Conte there in the end zone. That was a damn near interception. I think we scored right after that, and Conte was so upset with himself because he knew that he could have sealed the game with getting that INT. He was right off
he had
his
a really
hands.
bad one in the first half too. The downfield pass to, was it Garcon? I think he threw into double coverage, and the ball was underthrown, and that could have easily been intercepted. That was a bad pass by Kirk.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that kind of thing is going to get lost. And I don't want to take credit from him because he had a great game. I'm usually pretty harsh on him. I don't want to be, but you've got to be realistic too. This was more of, I would say, good Kirk made an appearance. He's not going to appear against New England. He's not going to.
Good Kirk made a rare appearance. Was this his best second half of his career?
I would think so.
I
One of them,
think
at least.
So.
He was really on the money in the second
What
half.
about the Philly game this year? That was pretty tight.
It wasn't this though. Kirk Kirk looked like the vet that we all hoped he could be in the second half today.
I mean, I would go so far as saying this is one of his better career performances, certainly within the top 5 maybe.
Well, I can't say that just because the first half was so
No, that's
wasn't
true.
To be
a full
fair,
game.
if you say top 5, he's only had 5 wins in his career.
It's automatically one of the top 5, I guess.
Bringing me right
Number
back down to
one.
earth. Yeah, that's a fair comment. That's totally fair.
I guess you could say this. He looked like who we hoped he would be in the third and fourth quarter. How about that?
Yeah. I think that's
When
fair.
the chips were all in, he came through.
He did. Got to
Yeah.
give it to him.
Yep.
So, what do you guys make of this victory in general? Where do
Not
we go
much.
from here? Are we?
Not much. We
I
don't
mean-
make much of it. It was a good game today. We're very happy. I think
Right.
the odds are incredibly long that it's going to happen against the Patriots in
Oh,
next
yeah.
game. We'll see if we're competitive or not. The test isn't. We're not going to beat the Patriots. So the test
No.
is: are we going to be competitive, or are we going to see Goodkirk for a second week? Goodkirk has never made an appearance 2 weeks in a row. In case
That is
anybody
very
remembers,
true.
It's never
Fair.
happened. So
Fair.
do we see Goodkirk again make progress, or do you see him fall apart?
I don't know. Patriots
does
have
the
a really good defense.
They do. I mean, the odds are that normal Kirk is going to be back.
I mean, the Patriots are a Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
it's just the
so,
question where we go from
yeah.
here is: are we competitive against New England? I think
Well,
that's the question.
The benefit is we have a bye week. We're going to come back a little bit healthier. We should hopefully have Deshaun back by then. We should have some other guys that should be back on defense. So, I mean, you never know. I mean, I thought we were going to get blown out. I was kind of correct, and then we came back and won at the in the second half. But
Right.
So you never know. It
Can
could
you
change.
imagine the media coverage if this game had ended up 35-6 or something
It would.
for 2 weeks?
I don't want to imagine.
That's when people lose their jobs.
You don't.
You
Yeah,
know,
you don't.
Yep.
You don't see in-season firings happen all the time. I wouldn't have expected it, but if we had lost that way, then yeah, I wouldn't have. I would have been surprised if he didn't get fired after that.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. And a potential benching of Kirk, too. People were calling through that
Yeah.
through halftime. Even the announcers are saying it's a potential to happen.
Announcers, I was calling for it. Are
Yeah,
you kidding?
yeah. Me too, man. Me too.
Oh,
I'll own up to
think
it.
If you went and look at the Redskins insider blog, I was
thanks.
saying to you, "Hey, let's look at Colt, man."
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, it certainly seemed that way through the first half. It really did. But you got to give credit to him in the second there.
Yep.
I mean, I'm just thinking about it. I agree with you, Steve, that it's all about being competitive. Because if you look at this slate of games, obviously we got the Patriots. That's tough. Then we've got the undefeated. Well, then we have Saints, but then we have the undefeated Panthers, and then a bunch of divisional matchups. This is a tough slate of games for the second half.
Panthers undefeated right now.
I don't know.
Panthers are a good team. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Playing damn well.
Good defense and great quarterback play.
Cam Newton
Yeah.
is a stud.
Yes,
the
he is.
guy is everything you want in a franchise quarterback.
I had
he's
to
young,
go work
he's a
at
physical
6
freak.
in the morning today, by the way, and I was listening to one of the sports stations, I won't say which, and they were talking about how Cam Newton should be the MVP of the league right now.
Yeah,
He's
without
a
a doubt.
competitor. He's in the running.
He's carrying
I
the
think.
team.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not surprised. I mean, he got a lot of criticism coming out of college from certain media members. I thought he looked like a pro at Florida.
Well, he did get in some off-field trouble. I can understand being worried about that.
I don't
I'm
even
sorry,
remember
at
that.
Auburn,
Did he?
not Florida. I said Florida. I meant
Yeah,
Auburn.
yeah, I was with you.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Well, yeah, his off the field trouble was that he got in trouble for allegedly stealing a laptop.
Right.
It was at where was he before?
even remember
Auburn? Was he at Florida? Yeah, he was
Miami,
at Florida.
I think.
Yes,
No. He was
Florida.
at Florida. He got in trouble for allegedly stealing a laptop then, and
Okay.
he made there were a couple bonehead things that happened to him like
Mm-hmm,
that. But he seems to have grown up. But listen, this is
Sure.
not the Cam Newton hour.
Right.
Let's talk defense.
Fair.
Deshaun
Sure.
Golson, 14 tackles. Folks, Deshaun
Whoa.
Golson was a great signing. For us, he's leading the team in tackles. Breland, who got banged up a little bit today, 13 tackles.
Another great game.
Trent
13?
He
Robinson.
had that great pass break up there. There was
he
a
did.
penalty
He
on
did.
it, but it was just a beautiful play by him.
No, they
Yeah.
didn't call a penalty. It was
They did
incidental.
call a penalty on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was
Well, you know what I
incidental.
mean. You know
Yeah.
the play I
You know
mean.
what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Trenton Robinson, 9 tackles. Keenan Robinson, who got banged up today a little bit too, 7 tackles. Chris Baker, 6 tackles. And did you notice that we had Knight and Baker on the field at the same time today? Baker was lined up at the left defensive end.
I did.
That's
Stephen
like the
Pyatt
head-
showed up too, by the way.
Yeah, Paya did. I don't think Paya had a tackle today, but he
had a
was on the
sack.
field.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
What do we have? 2 sacks through the game?
We
Yep.
had 2 sacks. Okay, they gave official credit to Paya got a half sack and Knighton got a half a sack.
Okay. Okay.
One sack.
Okay.
And by the way, Knighton made an appearance in the stat sheet. 2 tackles, 1 solo, half sack. So there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Not sure he's quite living up to the expectations we all had for him, but maybe those were unreasonable.
I mean, I criticized him last week, but the truth is, you're not going to have a Terrence Knighton have 13 tackles.
Right.
He's got to fill the gaps, occupy blockers, make a stop at the goal line. He made a stop at the goal. The team made a stop at the goal line, and that's what you want a big fat nose tackle for.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. If only we could get a couple more stops on that run game other than that, because
he's not
like
Vince
you said,
Wilfork, but he's not making the impact of Vince Wilfork, but he is probably the best nose tackle we've had, true nose tackle we've had in a while.
His job is to make sure the A gaps are not there for the runner, and that.
Of course, they did get gashed by Doug Martin right in the A gap a few times today.
That's what I'm saying. Like it wasn't. He made a nice goal line stop, but other than that, the run game had their way with us. I mean, it seemed like
they did.
Yeah, I agree with the guys that you called out. I mean, obviously those were guys showing up. Who was that? Was it Jaron Johnson that led up that touchdown in the end zone? Or was that Jarrett? I'm totally forgetting who that was.
Which touchdown?
Number 20?
Are you referring to?
Yeah, Jaron
You're talking about the
It was Johnson. That corner, back corner of the end zone. It was a deep. It was like a deep pass. He's chasing the guy. He didn't turn his head around. He didn't see where the ball was coming.
No, it was Will Blackman. Blackman.
Yeah,
sorry.
it was Blackman.
That was Blackman. Okay,
Blackman.
Okay.
I thought it was a safety. Yeah, he did not have a good game today. Blackman specifically.
Well,
he didn't have a great game.
No, but he was. It was a tough assignment to try to cover Mike Evans, though. I mean, you saw many times in that game, Breland was all over him, but he was catching it, uncoverable at times. There was that one back shoulder throw that Jameis threw right to his back shoulder. To a guy like Mike Evans, there's nothing you can do about that unless you pass it, interfere on the pass. But he's just one of those guys that you really have to have 2 guys on him. You can't just leave one person on him.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I mean, how long do we really think that our 3 and 4 corners can play as 1 and 2s anyway? I mean, this is what, their 4th game now or 3rd game that they've been the starters?
Blackman? Blackman at least 3, I think.
Well, Hall's been out longer than that, but Culliver and Hall put together have been out, I think, 3 games.
My point is Breland and Blackman are 3 and 4 guys, and they've been the starters for at least 3 games, if not 4.
I think it's 3.
Yeah, and I'm not convinced that Breland should be that low on the depth chart, frankly.
No.
What has he done? What has he done to not earn himself a higher roster spot for cornerbacks?
It's more about veteran experience and stuff like that, I guess.
Not really.
I guess, but the dude make plays.
Hall's been out since week 1?
Well, he hasn't been out. He's been banged up since then.
Well, he's been out for 4 weeks now, at least. He's been out 4 games, I think.
Yeah.
So it's not like Breland is being shoved down the depth chart for a Hall. Hall hasn't been there. We'll see what happens if Hall gets healthy. That's the real question.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a little flipperoo there, I guess is what I'm saying. I mean, look, you've had Breland covering number 1 receivers really tightly in man coverage and making good plays. So to me, it seems like an obvious choice. Not anything against Hall, but
Yeah, he's getting old.
Right. He's younger.
I think a Hall in his prime would have been a good matchup for Evans because he tended to do that. But I think it is his age and his injury status. I don't know if even D Hall could have done much against Mike Evans today.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough assignment for anybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, should we do some game balls here? Do we feel comfortable enough to issue some game balls out? Let's do offense and defensive game balls.
All right.
I'll start us off. Let's do. I mean, I feel like you've got to give the offensive game ball probably to Jordan Reed. That's who I'm going to give it to. Obviously, the 2 touchdowns were huge. He's the favorite receiver for every guy who throws balls for us, so that's who I'm going for. Defense side, Golson had a great game. It might be Breland again for me, though. I'm going to go with Breland again, which is, I think, what I said last week, but I'll stick to it. That they get the game balls for me.
I'm going on offense, Kirk Cousins.
I never thought I'd hear you say that.
Everybody thinks I hate the guy. I don't hate the guy. I truly don't.
Good
I just don't think he's a franchise quarterback. But you know, he had a great game. He had a great second half. He led the team down the field to get the winning score. You know, what can you say? He did it today. So he gets a game ball from me. And defense, no one really stood out. I'm going to give it to Goldston just because he's as kind of a lifetime achievement award, if you will. I mean, he's been playing well all year. He led the team in tackles again. So I'm giving Goldston the defensive game ball.
Nice.
Sounds fair.
All right, I guess it's my turn now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, so offense, I'm going to go Jordan Reed. We saw the passing game is much more dynamic when he's in the roster and not injured. And I'm not going to give a defensive game ball. I'm going to go Ben Kotwika.
Wow. Okay.
Coach the game ball.
The special teams with that onside kick, and they played lights out today.
Yeah, they did.
I
They
mean,
did.
without that, we would not have won. So I'm going to say that special teams won us the game, and that's that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm going to give my offensive one to Kirk. Yeah. Because, you know, he had to step up and bounce back from the terrible first half, and he did. That last drive was masterful, you know, just boom, 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 consistently moving down the field, and we got the touchdown. That took guts, and he did that. Defensively, I'd give it to, I don't know, it's kind of hard. I'll say Goldson, too, because, I mean, 14 tackles is a hell of a lot of tackles.
It's a lot,
Especially
for
we
a
needed
safety.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean, Cousins' drive down the field was what teams usually do to us. You know,
Yeah.
It's not what the Redskins do. It's what usually happens to the Redskins. So, for this one day, hey, Cousins did it, so he really deserves it, I think. And I'm going to give I'll give a hip hip hooray, and a Jim Zorn hip hip hooray to Jay Gruden. You know, because like we said, the offensive play calling was different enough today where it caught the other team off balance. And the Bucs were not ready for what we threw at them, and so regardless of whether it was McVay who did it, or Callahan or whoever called the plays, when we criticize Jay Gruden as much as we do, you got to give him credit when something goes right like this. So I'll give a hip hip hooray to Jay Gruden.
Is a Jim Zorn hip hip hooray different from a George Allen hip hip hooray?
It was definitely a Jim Zorn hip hip hooray. I'm not ready to give Jay Gruden of all people George Allen anything.
All right, fair
But
enough.
I'm still not a fan. No, Jay Gruden has not climbed out of my doghouse for a 2.5 quarter perperformance.
And you know what, man? I hope he hasn't crawled out of many people's doghouses because I don't think he's earned that yet. Yeah, I mean, he did. I really hate.
It was one game against the damn Bucs. Okay, it was a game against the Tampa Bay Bucs.
But this is going to buy him a lot of time in the eyes of fans, and I just don't know if that's smart.
Well, buys him 2 weeks.
Buys him 2 weeks. You're right. My goodness,
Gruden,
guys.
The Slick Ricks of the world, are going to have, a field day, for Gruden.
Yes.
The trick is
Slick Rick has never been a Jay Gruden fan. He's simply a white quarterbak fan.
Oh God, the racial aspect of this whole
thing.
thing.
Yeah, no comment from that.
I'm calling Slick Rick out on that one.
Well, I don't know if he listens to us anyway, so
I don't know.
You might get away with that.
I don't know if he even blogs anymore, man.
No, he does.
I haven't seen him.
I've seen him.
Well, he's got he called for Griffin's head so much, and I believe his quote was, "Watch this offense get better in a hurry with Kirk Cousins under center," and that just hasn't really happened. So, look, we all make bad predictions, but I thought that one was particularly bad. But anyways, what are we going to do, guys? Because we have a bye week now. We have 2 weeks before we have to face the god-awful in a good way for them, Patriots. What are we going to do for the next 2 weeks?
Well, my wife and I are trying to figure out where we want to go for the weekend, and maybe the beach, maybe up into the mountains. I don't know.
That'd be nice.
You
Get
realize
away.
it's the end of October, right?
There's nothing wrong with winter beach camping, man. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, I don't camp. I just go to a hotel and tell my wife to wear something sexy.
I'm sure she loves you saying that right here on the podcast.
She doesn't listen.
Now all of our, what are we averaging now? 250 to 300 viewers per episode?
350, baby.
350.
There we go.
350 listeners a show.
Thank you all for doing that, by the way, if you're listening.
Awesome.
Huge
Really
props to you. Yeah, it's just so appreciated. It makes us feel so good. We're going to keep going full speed ahead for you.
Yeah, baby.
So thank you. But anyways, we will return, even though it's the bye week. We will potentially be back, so stick around for new content.
I got something up my sleeve.
All right.
I have one real quick before you sign off. Remember, the Joe Jacoby for Hall of Fame campaign does not stop. So anybody
Yes.
out there who has not looked at that, go to our website, check it out, and email all those writers.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And as I was saying, I got something up my sleeve. Stay tuned for that. We're going to have that put out during the bye week. It's going to be great.
I like that.
Not going to
baby.
tell you what it is.
There you go. You'll have to come back and check it out to see. So until then, we'll be signing off. Thanks for listening to the Hogs Die, and we will see you next time.
Peace.